Hello, this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset Cafe, where we are here to discuss how important is it to be of service? Is it an important attitude for you to have? Is it something that you think about? Is it a conscious effort that you've made as part of your workaday? Is it something you're working on? Is it a new concept to you? And what does it really mean? That's the kind of discussion I'm hoping we can have. Of course, those who join me in the live stream and in the comment area will help guide that discussion, share your experiences, your thoughts, your questions of each other. Let's talk about that. How important is it to be of service? I can tell you that my experience is based on a religious upbringing that began with a teaching of generosity of heart, and I was taught stewardship, which is the proper care and taking responsibility for time and treasure and talents. When stewardship puts you into a mode of being of service. That's basically how I was raised in my religious tradition. Good morning, Roy.
And good morning, Charlene. And I totally
Welcome.
agree with you because I had the same experience. It's like my parents taught me that being a servant in a healthy way, in a non-worldly way, because if people hear, oh, you're a servant? Oh, yeah, I'm a servant leader, and I make $50 billion a minute. What?
I can't. Yeah, you're kind of missing the point of what a servant leader is. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
it's great that you make that much. You just don't tell people. It's not. That's not the important part of you being a servant leader.
Exactly. But no one thinks that you can be a billionaire by being a servant, and
Oh,
that's the
that's not
only
true.
way you can be a
Yeah.
billionaire, is be a servant, because you cannot give what you do not have, right? Would you agree with me there?
Yes.
And
And
so,
wholehearted agreement there.
yeah, and we don't come to this world as babes wanting to give to our
Hey, I
parents.
take offense there. I am a babe. Thank you very much. Just so you know. Thought you should know
I,
that. Go on.
I'm using babe in the first definition, which
Got it.
means you as an infant.
Got it.
They are so dependent on us as parents, and we just got to keep giving, 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 and all they do is take, 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 take. But they have to at one point give that up and become a giver, right? A
Mhm.
go-giver. So to answer your question for today, how important is it to be of service? There is nothing more important. You cannot make
Mm.
it in this world if you don't serve other people. And the great thing about it, and we talked about that a little bit on the last blab that you just came out of Hillary's blab,
Mm.
is that we have personality types, and some of us serve differently than others. And the best way to explain this, that's been explained to me. So take a look at a Thanksgiving dinner. The table is all set and so on and so forth, and a young kid spills some milk. Well, if all the personality types are present, you'll see them all go into action. Some
Mhm.
of them will console the child. Some of them will run into the kitchen and get a mop, blah, 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 blah. You'll see just everybody do their own thing. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mhm. I
that's
do.
being of service, right? Everybody says, oh, look, I got
Yes.
to do something about this. So that's my take.
I like that because what you just described what is for each one of us to take away that we have our own way to be of service, that I don't have to do it like you do, that I don't have to act a particular way for me to be of service in some way. It is a thought and it is an attitude and a value that expresses itself in a behavior that's comfortable for me. As you said, it was personality based. I'm more the I'll go clean it up. I really am. I'm not a consoler. I am today, but in general, over the years, it was not me who was did the first reach to say, "Oh, you'll be okay." That was not who I was. I was the, oh man, we got a big mess. Let me go take care of that while you take care of everything else. Let me clean it up.
Exactly. You do what is natural to you.
Mm-hmm.
The way you show up in any situation, just be yourself, be natural. And, if you're in the right environment, and I believe in the law of environment, John Maxwell talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
If I'm in an environment where people let me be me and they're not always criticizing, we talked about that the other day, and attempting to mold me into their way of doing it, like you just said, Charlene, get out of my way. I'm going to take care of this,
Right.
And someone would say, wait, Charlene, that's not the way to do it. First, you got to console the child, then you got to do this, then you got to do that, and then that's the last thing you do is actually clean it up. And it's like, wait, what? Where did you get your learning? This is not how I show up in the world.
Right.
So we need to celebrate our differences in personality.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the wonderment of the world that we live in, are the differences and being able to discern just how different we want around us, right?
Absolutely.
But one of the things that I was taught, and I believe you came from the same tradition that I do, is that the idea of stewardship.
Oh, yes.
Which is that it is your responsibility to be aware of your environment, to be aware of the people around you, to be aware of who you are in the midst of all that, and that it is your responsibility to step in. That's the way I was taught. Now, there's formal definitions for stewardship, but it is a level of responsibility. It is almost, and I've heard this in other traditions, and I've heard this out of other people. We don't say that. It wasn't the way it was taught to me, but it's almost as if, that's the payment. That's the payment for the life I've been given and the opportunities that I have in front of me, and for my being a part of the world. But it's really, that's too harsh. I've heard it said that way, and I think that's too harsh, because I think it really is a value, and it instills in me a need to be helpful, to be aware, so that I know where I can be helpful, and when I can't be, that's also, giving of time and my treasure and my talents. So sometimes I'm limited on my time. And I have more to offer on the terms of the talent. Sometimes it's I can write a check and I can give you a little time, but I don't have a skill in this area. Sometimes, it's a combination of those three, and it's being careful and taking care of my own self as I give. It's a value, I think.
I totally agree with that. And we have to be careful that, like you just said, if we're in an area which is not our expertise, we're going to do more harm if we actually do something about it than we can give of our, as you said, time, talent, and treasure. And that's being of service, is supporting them that way. And sometimes just cheering somebody on and clapping for them and giving them an attaboy and an attagirl is of service, right?
Absolutely. I'm laughing because when you repeated what I had said about sometimes you don't have that skill. So at the Thanksgiving dinner, there's a reason I was the one that cleaned it up. Had I been the one that was told, you need to go console that kid, trust me, the kid would have been worse off. This was not something that came natural to Charlene, and he would have been hugging a brick wall, and it would not have worked. Needs to be in mama's nurturing arms, or aunties, or even dad's. Dad's there to offer what needs to happen.
Yeah, no, and I think Blab and environments like this one will allow us to be more aware. See, I love giving people the gift of awareness, especially about relationship building, because I do believe that a lot of people don't understand servanthood in a relationship, stewardship in a relationship. So let's talk about that for just a second, because I can make an example of you and I. So when I first met you here on Blab, I immediately had what I receive, the instant intimacy factor from you. I felt a kinship. It's like, oh, there's a lot of the things that I just feel the vibe that I may have in common with Charlene. And the more and more I spoke to you and the things we spoke about, it's like, yes, I'm seeing that my initial, assessment, not judgment, assessment of you is more and more true. So that draws me in more and more. And because of that, I become more and more of service to you and vice versa. And just in natural, normal conversation, we're serving one another, right? We're building each other up. We're giving each other the opportunity to express verbally, to exchange our thoughts, and hopefully to make that person or help that person to become a better version of themselves. So would you see that as being of service to people as well as,
Of course.
just the little doing here and the little doing there, but an ongoing relationship? Would that be what maybe the highest?
In any relationship, honestly, it is any opportunity that I'm aware of, because all opportunities are there. I can do it now. I can do it later, anytime I'm around other people. And when it comes to people, anytime that you can do a good deed is going to make you a better person. And when you're of service to somebody else, even if you don't like the word and you don't understand it, you can look at it as, what good deed can I do today?
Amen.
Could it be that I just acknowledge somebody because everybody else is ignoring them? Could
Well,
it be that I notice somebody's just complimenting? We've talked about that at one time,
yes.
Complimenting somebody's hair. Especially women, they don't say it to each other enough. They get totally wiped out when I compliment them on how sharp they look or how confident you look or something. When it comes from another woman, it is mind-blowing. I haven't figured that one out yet, but I see it, and I only give it when it's sincere. I'm impressed.
I'm all about sincere compliments. Right? Yes.
Yeah. So that's a good deed, right? You help somebody through the door, the old Boy Scout, Girl Scout thing. No good deed goes unnoticed. And sometimes it's just simply the noticing part is yourself. That's a way to grow yourself, is to the good deed.
Right. And if your world includes God, which mine does, then even if nobody around me acknowledges my good deed, I know he does. And that is the key, because you cannot give what you do not have. So if nobody exampled you being of service to you and your formative years, like your parents should have, and maybe even your siblings, go hug your brother, go hug your sister, give him a hug, give him a kiss, make sure that, because we have to teach people.
We had that. We also had, what I grew up with was, let's drop by the Goodwill and get the best coat ever, because that girl on your bowling team, her coat is pretty raggedy. Well, why are we getting her a coat, Mom? Well, her parents are having a tough time right now. That's all.
That's right.
So we go by Goodwill and we get a really good quality coat, and she has a good coat for the winter. And it was given in the spirit of, hey, I noticed that you've got these tears, and this was in the closet, and thought you might enjoy it.
Exactly, and the behind the scenes stuff that happens behind giving like that, giving something material. Speaking of the spiritual realm, you cannot give into this world without receiving in the exact same measure and a little bit more. And so when you send out blessings, that's a good thing. But when you send out cursings or non-blessings, that's not a good thing, because you're going to get the same measure back and a little bit more. Yeah. And that's why people are so miserable day in and day out. And that's why they do the same thing over and over and expect different results, because they're waiting to be given to rather than to make the first move to give, because somehow somebody didn't pour into them that valuable bit of information, and they never bought into it. So they're waiting to be given and to be served, like our kings and queens on planet Earth. Serve me.
So I think that segues nicely into the next question of struggling to be of service, not quite understanding what it means because we weren't taught. Maybe there's people that are listening or watching the replay that weren't shown or don't understand what it really means to be of service. And what I mean by that is those who look at you and me and others in this room who are of service. Our behavior shows that. We're doing it out of sincerity. It is not all for personal gain in terms of money, nor is it in terms of fame or fortune or anything like that. It is part of how we approach the day. And they're attracted to that, but aren't quite sure what that really means, because they hear words like be of service. So their history says that means that I must submit. That, they hear the word steward. So that means that I am now in a position of less than. And, the equating the word with the negative like that. So if that's the background, what's a different way that we can talk about it and maybe give some guidance on what it looks like? A little more, I gave a couple examples of how I grew up, but today, what does it look like? What does it look like when Roy moves forward with the day-to-day about I'm going to be of service?
Well, that's a great segue. Total topic that I resonate with. Something that we can all do, especially here. I've been here over 7 months now, and I'm still the same guy I was 7 months ago, except for one thing. I have more friends now. And the reason I do is because I believe, and I could be wrong, and Charlene, you be one of my friends to tell me whether it's accurate for you or not, is that I've done something right in pouring into you as a friend, as a person who cares, as a service to you, where you go, oh, wow, I like this, and I want to reciprocate because we're having a good conversation, one, and it's edifying. It's also helping me, but I can tell that more than that, because we're now beyond the self. I'm not only going to take in what Charlene's wisdom is for myself, but I'm also going to take in what people are saying in the comment section and how they're saying it. You understand what I'm saying? So it needs to be reciprocal. It needs to be, as I like to say, win-win, mutually beneficial. Otherwise, you have to find another person or persons. Because I could pour into people all day long, never be poured back into, and I would be an unhappy camper. I have to find the win-win.
You have to find a place to get your cup refilled.
Yes, indeed.
Now, I'm not quite sure what I was thinking about when you were saying that. What I was envisioning was the constant give, and there's really nobody there to receive it. I'm not even getting pushback. It's just going out into
to nowhere.
Because that happens,
on deaf ears, right?
Because that happens. It just falls. And that tells me, because I've had that, and what that tells me is that it's not the messenger, it's the message. That it's the way that I'm giving it that isn't falling on. That's why it's not falling. When I'm not getting even any pushback, that tells me that the message needs to be changed. Sometimes it's the language that's used. Sometimes it's the emotion behind it. Sometimes it's the activity that's a part of the message. But if I'm the messenger and it really is falling on deaf ears and I can't change, and I've changed the audience, take that into account too, change the audience, then the message needs to change.
That bears repeating. So let me say what I heard to see if it's in alignment, because I just went and did the happy dance in my head by how you put that forth. Because while I know what you just said, I didn't hear in my own head and my own essence how you just put that. If your message falls upon deaf ears and you're getting no hecklers, you're getting no pushback, you're getting no, good or negative reviews, your message is wrong. I love that, because I actually do teach this. I actually friend-educate on this.
Yeah.
Something that you just said too, after you've changed your audience, because if you have the right message and it's falling on deaf ears, you have the wrong audience. So change your audience. Don't change your message, change your audience. But now I
That's the
can
first
add
step.
to that, to what you just poured into me, Charlene, by saying, if you get no pushback and you know you have the right message,
Well, if
maybe
you
you
know you're
don't.
at the right
Maybe you
audience.
don't.
No, see, it's if you know you have the
Okay.
right audience, then it behooves you to understand their language. Because if you're not
Okay.
getting any pushback, then it's the message. Something
Okay.
about the way you are as the messenger bringing that message to somebody else. Whatever it is that I'm saying, it's falling on deaf ears, and yet I know I'm in the right place. I need to start listening.
Oh
I
my
need
goodness, I love
to
this.
pay
I'm
attention to how you're talking so that I can speak your language.
okay, so
Because
let me unpack
we have
this even
been,
more. Ah.
you've had this, Roy, right? You've had translators where
Oh, I
there's
need
just that
yes. Yes.
it is them, I'm in the right place. You're just not getting it, people.
I know, right? It's so
Charlene, translate
frustrating.
for
Yes.
me.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so this is a module that I'm in the process of putting together, but I'm certainly going to add what you're pouring into me to it. So
Hmm.
if you know you have the right audience,
Yes.
as opposed to having the right message. So this is a formula. And like my dad used to tell me when I was a little kid, Roy, if you know the formula, you know how to find the answer to anything. All things
Hmm.
have a formula, he said. So the formula for determining whether or not you have the right message or the right audience. Can we go over that for a second? Because here's what I heard. Tell me if this is correct on what you said.
Sure, because it's all based on I want to be of service. I have something to offer. I have a message that I think will benefit the people that I'm giving it to. So absolutely.
So let's say that you're in a job situation, you're an employee, and you are over a few people, and you have to get A done, project A.
Hmm.
So that's your audience. You have the right audience. It's the people that you need to encourage to do this project and get it done within the time frame. Now,
Hmm.
that's one way of knowing you have the right audience, and whatever message you use to motivate them to get the work done, if it's not working, then Charlene, wouldn't you say that this person automatically knows it's the wrong message because your audience is correct? You can't change your audience. You can't go tell employees in the next company over
Yeah,
that will
they're
hear
not
you.
responding.
Right. So would you agree with me then that if you know your audience and it's the right audience, then it's the audience you've been given to speak to. Now you need to adjust your message so
Absolutely.
that it doesn't fall on deaf ears. This is
Yes.
my missing component to add to this module that I didn't have in my frontal lobe in order to say it. Okay, so
Okay.
now it's easy to understand the right audience because it's almost a forced situation. Here's your audience, speak to them, motivate them, excite them, do whatever you got to do, but let's get this project done within a week, right?
Right.
Now, the message delivered might not always be easily understood to be the right
Well,
message
it
or the
could
wrong
be that what
message.
you just said doesn't work. Hey, we're all in this together. This is the end goal. Here's what you do, you do, you do. Let's go. And they all just stand there. Right.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it could easily be that's the team and they just stand there and say, well, yeah, so. But if you paid attention to them, you might see that they have some special needs that need attending to and switch up the tasks and they get excited because suddenly I get to do what I love to do. I get to go organize. Yes, you go organize the shelves over there. You go build them because that's your particular
Right.
talent. I recognize that skill, so I put you where you're best used, if you will, where you can really be an effective part of the team. So it's something as simple as that. Or it could be um, that it's a team of volunteers, which are often the most difficult to manage.
Right,
Because
because their
those who have
mindset.
difficulty, right, those who have difficulty managing volunteers is because we tend to forget that they're heart centered, that they are there because they care.
Yes.
They're not there for recognition. They're not there for pats on the back. They don't care how hard their work is. So what motivates them is to always remind them about what it is they care about, the impact they are going to have on whomever, whatever it is that they care about. It might be that they're putting together a 5K run as a fundraiser. It's not the runners that they care about. They could care less about the runners. It's the fact that they're going to raise money for leukemia patients. They know people with leukemia. They know people who know people. They're connected in some way. So you tap into that and you talk to them about what that impact of that 5K. The better you do it, the more attractive it is to the runners, the more we're going to have next year, which means we're going to raise that much more money to help many more people. Change the message, right? Rather than just saying, man, this is going to be a terrific race. Those runners are going to be so happy with everything you've done. Make sure you've got water out there. Take care of those runners. And it's like, well, I could care less about the runners.
Well, this all comes back to your why, right?
Again,
everybody has a different why. Why are you doing this? Why are you helping me? Why are you helping them? And it's all parts of the same organization or body of people, but each individual why is a little different according to their natural bent and their personality.
Right.
Hi,
but
Hillary.
as a group, so having said that, as a group, a message can still be brought before them and have impact, stronger than just an effect, have an impact. If it's done with care, with that sense of, I'm of service to you. I care enough to say it in your language. I'm able to understand you as a group. That's why I come to you as someone who understands you as a group, and therefore I speak that way. That to me is what that being of service looks like. I am showing by my behavior, the words I use, my activity within the group, whether I'm a leader or not, I am showing that I care. And by showing that through my words, through my activity, I am showing I'm being of service, and it's more attractive to those that I'm giving the message to, if you will. It's a heck of a lot easier to do that than just take a hammer and bang you over the head and tell you to shut up. It works a whole lot better.
Well, without sounding exactly, without sounding all into self here, I can honestly say that I showed up here on Blab to do just that, to be in service of other people. So when I first got here to Blab, I would meet people. Hi, I'm Roy. I'm going to introduce myself to you, and how I'm received by you determines whether or not I'm going to give you 2 minutes a day or no minutes a day or more.
Okay.
And because of that, in the last 7 months, I have received service from other people, because I believe that whatever I give here to Blab, I will receive here from Blab in the same measure and a little bit more.
Right.
So this
isn't that funny? Because I came here with a completely different mindset.
I do. But the mindset now you're looking
changed.
Back though.
I've changed. Because of what others have done for me.
So I like to say it like this. I don't know if I've talked to you about this or not. So I tell people that I never change my mind. Ever. But what I will do in a heartbeat is make a new decision based on new information. Now, the reason I say it that way, somebody, it's just semantics, Roy. Well, I'm very semantical.
They matter to you. Matter to you.
Because what I feed myself in my thought life comes out in my actions and my behavior. So if I'm thinking to myself, oh no, I got to change my mind again, because I've been changing my mind my whole entire life, which means I can't make wise decisions. Some people think that, or whatever, on the negative side. But if you're saying to yourself, oh, I didn't have enough information to make this wise new decision that I can now make based on my prior information that was lacking, I made this decision. So that's a better mindset to come at it with and go, okay, it's not my fault, because a lot of people are absolutely beating themselves up because other people have beat them up. So they do the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? With their own self-esteem.
Sure.
Makes sense?
I know where you're coming from. Got it. I do.
Anywho.
I want to invite anybody who wants to join us to come on into the open seats. I have 2 open seats. You can join me and Roy. We're talking about how important is it to be of service? What does that look like to you?
Yeah, I'd love to hear Hillary's take on it because I've never seen her be of service to anybody.
Oh, not at all.
So
Ever.
if Hillary wants to unpack that for us, I would be happy to hear why.
Yeah, she's like I am. You can't call her and not expect her to come in.
I
You've been
love Hillary.
called, Hillary.
Oh,
There she
Hillary,
is. Hello.
you
Good
know I'm
morning.
teasing with
Good
you because
morning.
I can.
You, no, never been of service. No, maybe I could learn something on a platform like Blab of how to be more of service and how important it is.
Maybe.
Maybe. Good morning, Charlene.
Good morning, Hillary. Good to see you.
I'm having a fantastic day on Blab today.
Yeah?
Some fantastic people, and it's days like today that bring it back to how easy it is to connect when you're just talking, when you're just listening and finding out about people. And there was a lady who was on Now Blab who'd never been on camera before, now tweeting her, and she's all excited now. And you know that because she's been welcomed by the people, like Roy was on the Blab as well, she's going to go and she's now going to accelerate when she runs her first Blab. So I guess that in a way is being of service, because
Absolutely,
you introduce someone to this in a way that's welcoming and help them gain in confidence to then go, do you know what? I can do this. This is something I can do. So I think that's quite something nice to take away from this morning for me.
It is, isn't it? It is. Yeah, I had a chance to meet her for a moment. I look forward to seeing her again. And in many ways, Blab has been that for me over these past months because of this morning show. It's, as I told Roy, when I first started this, it wasn't to be of service to anybody. It really wasn't. It was, you guys, I need you help me. And what I'm doing over here isn't working. I can't get myself out of this space. So I'm going to try this platform. And it happened to work. And now it's changed. It's different. But yeah, when it started, I admit fully, wholeheartedly, I really didn't care about anybody.
I just muted myself.
I shouldn't say that. Okay, dear.
Blab is.
I shouldn't say it quite that harshly. I did care. It was just the purpose of my being here was a little different.
You didn't know what you didn't know, and as you started to realize, and life on Blab started to unfold for you, Charlene, you said, oh my goodness, look at this. I did not know this, right? Because you had no clue. I think Blab is the great confidence builder. It's the great intimacy starter between people. If you have a lack of understanding how to be intimate with other people, just watch what happens between people like you and I, Charlene, and like you and I, Hillary. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's unspoken between us that we would absolutely answer exactly the same way about each other if people pulled us and took us apart, put us in soundproof booths and asked each other questions about each other. Because we
don't do that to us.
Because we just know. Right? Yeah. Because people like Charlene are also like people like Hillary, who are also like people like this, and they probably do the same thing. So that's amazing.
I think it's amazing. Like when I first joined Blab, I came onto the platform because I was being interviewed by someone, and I sat there in the seat and I went, this is what happened. This is what I was doing when I was answering the questions, and this is what was going on inside. And in that moment, I knew that this platform had something that I wanted to explore more. When I started, I didn't have a strategy. I didn't know what I wanted out of it. But I very quickly realized how it could enhance my life experience in a sense of how I comport, how my business goes, how my personal life goes. And I don't mean that as having a life coach session. I don't mean that at all. Very quickly, I formed a strategy in my head, and I deviated slightly where you've tested things and stuff like that. And now I can see very clearly where what I'm using this platform for. And I think having that clarity has come from having conversations with both of you, of which I've had a number of conversations over the last 5 to 6 months. And it's funny that there's a lot of core people that I met initially that are still here. There's also as many that aren't. And there's many that I met that I wouldn't still engage with because our motivations and our what we're looking for and what we're trying to achieve is very different. And I can't help them achieve that. And they can't interact with what I want to achieve. So it becomes like a natural filter process. But there's a lot of newer people coming now as well that are adopting it, and they're looking to people that have experience and are listening, and everyone's being helpful. Like Alfredo, he jumps in and helps and welcomes people and will answer tech things. And it is an absolutely awesome way of communicating. And I think these relationships, I mean, Roy is the expert on this, are accelerated. Really accelerated, you know. And it gets to the stage, I don't mind if I've just got up in the morning and I'm supposed to have a conversation with someone on the other side of the world, that I jump on Skype chat and my hair looks like Animal from the Muppets.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. That was kind of fun. I should have recorded that. That was
sometimes it's like Statue of Liberty. Sometimes it's the Prodigy. It's really quite impressive, and it's got to that because those sort of things don't matter.
Yeah,
and that's what's really nice, because you cut
to the
through
realness
all
of
that rubbish. And it's great, you know, so many people talk about authenticity, so many people talk about being your real self, you know, which is great. I'm just myself. So if I'm in a bad mood, I probably wouldn't come on Blab, although I don't really get in bad moods very often, but I wouldn't sit on this camera and do that.
Challenge.
But then if I was in a conversation, if someone was there and it was a chat and I was feeling a bit down, I might come on because someone would lift me up, would boost me up.
That's what I was just going to say. You would come on because you want that change.
You can never say never to things like that.
It's interesting. Everything you just described.
Sorry.
Hey, laughter is good medicine for the body.
She's the only one that can get me to tears in laughter. Oh, my word.
Belly laughing and tearing is great.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah, I was
Sorry about that.
Something really serious there, but of course, with Hillary on, you just can't, can you?
Well, I just wanted to touch base on what Hillary said and what it made me think of.
Yes.
So with Alfredo. So yesterday, Alfredo gazoos me into one of these blabs.
Who did
with
it?
Three
He did
people.
What to you?
Oh, I say kazooing me. He just mentioned.
Oh, I like
name.
that. Okay.
Yeah, with the Flintstones, he just gazoo. So Roy, and so anyway, he brought me into a blab with three ladies that I had never met before, and so his attempt was for me to help them with a hashtag. So I was glad to be of service to help them with that. But as it turned out, I was able to jump in the seat, meet the ladies, and talk about even more things. And being of service was as simple as saying, oh, this button on the left does that. That button on the right does this. And by the way, if you happen to be a host, here's something to keep in mind as far as a mindset. The next thing you know, I have 3 brand new friends.
Yeah. And that's a better way of saying what I was going to say. What Hillary was describing was community. And that with the core of us here, we came, even if my intention wasn't to be of service to you guys. I did not see this platform as a way for me to satisfy my value of being service. It's still, the platform is set up so that if I want to stick around with you and people like you, I'm going to have to be of service. Because I'm attracted to people like you.
That's right.
Happens.
Oh, I like that.
If you're attracted to who I am and what I'm saying and what I'm doing, you're going to have to act a little bit like the group I'm belonging to. Otherwise, you're going to be very uncomfortable because we're not going to really like having you a part of our group. It's just a natural filter, right?
It is. It's a natural filter. It's a default filter. You won't last. You can't last.
Charlene totally went. I was getting to know Charlene, so I had had this thing, and we were on this blab, and Charlene, up until that point in my eyes, had been very prim and proper on blab. Was very focused and very delivering, and very respectful, and was a lovely lady, and I was enjoying her company, so I would jump into her blabs on a regular basis. And she jumped into one of mine, and I saw her cry. Now, it wasn't tears of sadness. It was tears of laughter. And they were streaming, and she couldn't speak. And all that prim and properness of what she'd first put across, gone. Absolutely gone. And that meant from that moment forward, whenever I've seen Charlene in a blab and had her obviously in on my blabs, it's different because there's that knowledge that she's got a lot to say, a lot to share, she has a lot of value, and she's got a very naughty sense of humor.
You went there.
I went there.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to use that, and I'll quote you. Hillary Steele says about Charlene Burke.
Oh, goodness.
Oh my goodness, that's
It's
great.
nothing I wouldn't say to her face, I tell you, but
Exactly.
it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And it was a great, that blab in particular was quite a turning point for me on this platform, because I started to really enjoy the social side of it, like really as if I was having the best night out with friends I've known for years. And it was just such a wonderful feeling. And I am very soppy and I'm very sentimental, and I wear my heart on my sleeve and it gets ripped off and it gets trampled and I go, okay, next, you know. And I'm not going to then not trust someone just because of being burnt by somebody else, because it's not your fault that
Thank you.
have been
Yes.
burnt by somebody else. And I just think every day is the opportunity to smile and make someone smile. And I think that also goes a long way. And on here, there's no effort. There's no effort. I
Exactly.
put no
By
effort
default, yes.
into coming on to Blab. I show up, I turn up. And it's not that I think, right, today I'm going to be Hillary, the businesswoman who's got an empire growing here in the UK and now taking over the world. It's like, here's Hillary with a deep belly laugh, who's one piece of fruit short of a fruit salad, which it says
That's
in my
our
profile. And that's it. That's it. That's all there is
That
to
is
it.
you. That is you. That is the inside me. That is not the me. I could show up every time. I'd be worn out every single time. But yes,
I
there
want
is
to
a
shoot
part of that
with
in
you,
me.
young lady.
You
When
what?
I'm going to shoot pool with you. Do the hustle.
Darn right you are. Darn right you are. I slammed it the other day. Got a patch. Thank you very much. I love getting. I am a sucker for trophies. I am. I get trophies and patches for my pool playing. I'm like, hey, I knew I was good. Now I have proof.
Rewarding successes, little
Okay.
steps, rewarding each
That's
one
it.
of those successes.
That's it. So I have been focusing on my 8-ball game, just so you know.
That's cool.
Because
I went to Lucy Hall's house for dinner last Friday, a week ago, and their dining table suddenly turns into a pool table. It was like,
oh my God, I'm coming over.
The four of us were playing doubles.
Those are nice.
She's my friend.
And that was cool. She was the lady that introduced me to Blab, so it's her I have to thank, and you have to maybe tell off. I'm not quite sure how you see that of her introducing me.
Now, see, so for all those watching, and any of you are scratching your heads wondering how in the world does this apply to the title, it does. I think that what we're talking about, what Hillary is talking about, Roy, and hopefully what I am, is that when you show up and one of your values is to be of service, to be helpful in some way, to do a good deed, it is what it's about in terms of being better, a better version of you. Now, I'm saying it this way because I committed to being in this morning program every weekday morning, regardless of how I felt when I woke up. So some of you have seen me when I have been in a bad mood. I just woke up in a bad mood. Yes. And that's when, honestly, and here's a tip for anybody that this happens to and you're wondering, can you actually be nice when you're in a bad mood? Yes, you can. You can change your state. It's called self-control, a little bit of discipline. And it's conscious. I make a conscious effort. I know, and I warn them. I come on here. You guys have seen this. I've come on and said, I am in a bad mood.
Now, wasn't it about
this?
Darlene, was it in your one of your blabs that we talked about just what you're talking about there? You can immediately snap your fingers and be out of a bad mood, so to speak.
And I love the example.
Because company came to the door and it's company you respect and you're no longer in that poor, bad, ugly mood.
Yeah.
So you can change on a dime. And I say it like this. So I love that example with the respected company that just showed up by able to change your mood. So what you think about is what you feel about.
Yeah.
Does everybody agree with that? You cannot feel anything that you did not think about earlier. In other words, if you are watching a sad movie and you cry, it's because of what you just thought about, whether it's a happy cry or a sad cry or whatever. So here's what I say. If you don't think that you can snap your finger or in a nanosecond go from happy to sad or sad to happy or whatever mood you're in, immediately make a new decision on that, then you don't know what you don't know. Because I say this, tonight at 6 o'clock, wherever your 6 o'clock is, it doesn't matter. Think of something super happy that happened in your life already or will happen that will make you super happy. Continue to think about that. Meditate upon that for an hour. Now, after that, stop. and think about the most tragic thing that's ever happened to you or could happen to you, and watch what happens to your mood. It switches immediately. So for those people who say, no, Roy, it takes me a whole week to get over this, I have to give that person the silent treatment and blah, blah, blah. That's a bunch of...
No, you don't. It's just a bunch of hooey. I love that word.
I have a little bit of a tip, actually, that unfortunately I had to attend a funeral. Oh. And I was with my friend who gets very emotional, as most people do, you know, in those situations. And she wanted to maintain a bit of dignity and didn't want to go to pieces, because we wanted to be there for the mother of the child who had passed. So I just leant over to her in the service, and just before the service started, and I said, just remember, Tom never actually kills Jerry. Right?
I've done that to people. Yeah.
And it worked. Yes, it was a very
state enough to say that, and just lift me up a little bit.
She does that now in other situations where she can feel her emotions swaying or whatever. She just remembers that phrase, and it brings her back to a state that she knows she can then be in control of. Very simple. That's none of this neuroscience, mumbo jumbo, woo-woo-y stuff. None of this technological stuff. It's pure raw, real. We have quite a lot of
Well, that's a tweetable. And where's our 30 seconds, Charlene? That's a 30-second
clip. What are you asking me? It's not like I had anything to do with bringing it on in the first place.
It was on earlier for Hillary, and now it's not on.
Well, I guess I don't know.
I needed to send that out. That was so tweetable, Hillary. That was.
I love it.
You can all have that one on me.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, what the story Roy is talking about, that we were talking about, is there's back in the day, if you grew up in a house like mine where you're going at it, you're either angry at mom, so you're just, right? You're fighting, teenage years, right? Or like with my brothers, we're at each other's, you know, we're just arguing and carrying on and whatever. And somebody rings the doorbell. We are suddenly the model citizens.
The Brady Bunch or something.
I'm telling you. Now, in my family, we're in the true stories. My brothers will recognize this immediately. Station wagon. We already went over the fight of who gets the back seat to lay out.
Been there, done that.
You take the whole back seat, right? Oh, yeah. You take the whole back side. You don't take just yours. No. So we already did that. Who gets the middle this time? All that's already been fought over, right? And then the bickering just starts. Big, right? Picking. And we're dressed up and we're going to the golf club to meet the grandparents for dinner. Actually, for breakfast after Sunday services. And we're just and it's constant, right? It's constant as we're going up to the door. You know, valet comes, gets the car, we're out. We walk in the door and we're still picking, and we suddenly see Grandma. Oh, that's it. We're just happy little children, model citizens, the best you've ever seen. We know how to. So tell me, you can't change your state. See, that's what the story was yesterday. Yeah. Harkens back to, we learned it when we were kids. Of course, moms and dads taught us, right? Yeah. It was the adults that taught us how to, hey, buck it up. Or as so affectionately told to me in my day and age today, suck it up, buttercup.
Suck it up, buttercup. I like that.
Hey,
I like that.
Move on. So it's possible, and it has to do with self-control, which goes back to self-awareness. And
I don't like the people where you ask them the question, so how are you? And they come up with, well, under the circumstances, and they take you literal, and for the next hour, they tell you how they are, and you don't want to really know in the negative.
Well, now, wait a second, right? Because I used to be one of those. And then that's because I had to learn how to communicate with people. It literally was, somehow I lost a lot of the teachings. I don't know what happened, but I literally had to learn how to communicate with people because I was very much a literal person. And still today, especially when I'm tired, if you were to ask me how I am, if I'm tired, you'll hear it all. Because you're asking me. Therefore, I think you want to know. So
I'm making a note of that one too.
It is a part of who I am, and I struggle with that. So I have to be conscious of that. I do. I have to watch. And that's why oftentimes, Hillary, you saw me as very You know, especially if I'm on a new blab. If I'm not in my morning mindset program, it's different. This is different. We've been here a while. I've got the groove of this. I've got a rhythm to this. This is okay. Expectations are set of those who come. This is cool. Start a new blab. I'm going to be a little different. So it's just how I work. So, so you know, Roy, there's a reason people take it literally. They don't know any other way.
I'm like that, and there's people that come into like tonight I'm hosting a dinner, and I think there's 20 women going, and I only actually know 4 of them, which is really good. But when I hosted one a couple of months ago, I looked at the guest list and I thought, I'm not asking any of them how they are.
Because they'll tell you.
Because they're going to tell me.
The 3 hours. Yeah.
And then
I do the same thing.
The other thing I did, because I'm quite binary, I am quite literal in a lot of ways. I'm half geek, half creative, and that's the worlds collide. And I remember being at an event, and Sue, my long-suffering business partner, as she is always known, and she said to me, yeah, she's not here today. She's not in the office. She said, Hilary, you have to finish the sentence before you walk off. Hold on, let me just get rid of that. You have to finish the sentence before you walk off, because what I would do was my brain would work and I'd think I'd finished it and it was boring anyway. So I would just walk off mid-sentence. And so I've learned now how to actually finish.
Someone says it. I get it.
And then I've learned how to excuse myself. I go to some events and people think I have a really weak bladder because I keep going to the toilet.
You're giving our secrets away, Hilary.
Oh my goodness, that's it. She's being so intimate now. But
it's true, you know, it's how we adapt to the situations we find ourselves in. And I have to be more socially acceptable in a lot of situations. You know, I can't just be, oh, get out my face or whatever. So now I found that working on that for about a year, I can kind of stay in the public face when I'm out and about in this sort of level. And that works. But if I'm tired and I have to go and host one of these dinners, everyone's looking to me for entertainment. They're looking for me. They've paid their money to come to this event. They're looking to me to host them for the night. So I've walked to one before and I've gone, I really can't be bothered with this. I'm tired. Woe is me. Or not really woe is me, but I'm really tired and I'm a bit starchy, as we call it. And then literally you walk through the door and it's that grandma instance. Evening, everybody. And then you go on to it. And then I get built up and the tiredness goes and we get second wind, third wind. And then it's an enjoyable experience. But if I followed through and walked through that door with a miserable face on, or we say a face like a slapped arse, if I walked through that door like that, the experience of the evening that those people are going to have is going to be diluted. And that's not good.
Right there. You walk in with an attitude of service.
Yes, exactly. That's why I knew what it is. I liked this subject.
It is about other people. Even in my world of being literal, what I learned was that a way for me to interact better with others was to approach it from the side that I'm going to listen first. If I listen first, then I am more than likely able to participate or be a part of. And that reduces the assumptions. Or in some cases with me, it was, I trained myself to watch how other people interact. I mean, this goes back to, I trained myself to smile on purpose because I don't smile naturally. You know, I mean, I had to, so there's a lot of work that went into this, people. Yeah, neat. Exactly. I was a perfect poker player for years. And I really was. I had the poker face down. So anyway, all that said, if you have the value of being of service, you get so much more, as Roy had said earlier, you get so much more out of your interactions with people, out of your business, out of your day-to-day work day, because it is leading with the idea that I'm going to listen first. And I'm going to listen to what you have to say before I say what I came here to say. Because by listening first, I'm listening for how you use the language, how you speak, what it is you need, so that I can speak it. So the message is taken in the
so you're mirroring in a way.
I need it to. Yeah,
you're adapting
in a way.
Your language behavior to meet the
Yeah.
audience. That's a
Meet
skill.
them where they are.
That's
Meet
a
them where
skill.
they are. It's very important.
It's a very good skill that a lot of people could do with maybe focusing on, because that will improve the quality of not only their businesses but their lives if you can meet someone where they're at. And something else, you know, you say win an argument. I've got 3 older brothers, so I learned to kick between the legs very quickly as my way of surviving my childhood. But when you're in an argument, no one ever actually wins when there's an argument.
No.
No one wins.
No. Now, Hillary, are you the youngest of 4?
Yes, I am the youngest.
Oh my goodness, what you
That's
just
why
said.
see, I'm the oldest of 3.
No wonder I get along so well with her. My wife, who I've now known 20 years, she's my second wife, is the youngest and only female and has 3 older brothers. And her oldest brother is 10 years older, and her closest brother is 2.5 years.
Wow, 15 years and 3 years, and then 11 years in the middle.
Close enough. Close enough. So you know, you might as well be the only child or the oldest child, because if you're the only girl amongst the 3 men that are older than you, you grow up a little on the maybe tomboyish side. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the tomboy side.
And my wife's dad was an engineer, and he said, you will know how to change your own oil. Whether you do it or not doesn't matter. I will teach you how to do that and replace spark plugs. So she's out there getting her hands just as dirty as the rest of the siblings, because she was a woman.
Yeah. See, I grew up completely different. I'm the oldest of 3, the first girl grandchild. So I was doted upon, and I had things done for me. And I asked at the various schools that I went to that offered shop, that offered engineering classes, that offered the fun stuff. I asked, can I please take those? No.
They didn't
That's
have you
not what a lady
crocheting,
does.
did they?
Yeah, no, not quite. But the idea was, well, Grandma tried to teach me how to make granny squares. That was the that was not fair. Anyway,
See,
she prided herself on her attempt that she tried. But really, I mean, it was that was my upbringing. Quite honestly, I was raised to be a good wife. I was to marry well. And so my first 15, 16 years at home, and especially in the first 10 to 12 years, quite clearly, when I look back, it was obvious that I was to be an independent thinker, that I was to view the world as I could be anything I wanted to be, but the best thing to be was to be a supportive and quality behind the scenes person, which was the wife. So, yeah.
And how do you feel?
That's what it was.
Did you fulfill that role?
LOL.
There's the one that doesn't smile naturally.
Yeah, not in the way my parents had intended. And so we are at the top of the hour. So I shall stop the recording and we'll continue the conversation. I want to thank everybody who's joined me on the live stream and those who have participated in the discussion in the comment area. Everything that you offered has been vital to a quality discussion. I think I'm ready to go forward with the day to think in terms of how can I be of service, and I hope you can as well. Those watching the recording, thanks for hanging with us. I appreciate you. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouKnow.com. Let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our businesses. Until next time, have a great day.